All right, thank you so much all for joining me in this lecture. This is Gurpal Singh from Gursar Education, and as you all know that we have already started the series regarding managerial economics, and we have gone through from a lot of lectures. Like I have taught you all the basics regarding managerial economics, and we have already given you the information regarding what kind of questions can be asked from different chapters and how to cover all the structures of different chapters. Okay, all these things we have already covered. So basically, if we talk about the basics, so it starts from the types of objective, after that demand, then elasticity of demand, then a revenue curves, utility analysis, production function, cost functions. All these things are just the, it just covers the part of a basic economics. And when we talk about the advanced economics, then we have to study different kind of market structures. And when we talk about market structures, these covers the things like perfect competition or imperfect competition. And the perfect competition regarding the perfect competition, today we are going to talk about in detail. So as I am telling you that from today onwards, we shall be covering the advanced economics topics, and these cover all the market structure. And first of all, we shall begin with the perfect competition. So I am just going to give you a brief description of how the structure of this lecture shall be. First of all, we shall study what is the meaning of a perfect competition. After that, I shall teach you regarding what are the different features of a perfect competition. And after that, we shall be studying regarding the different structure on the basis of time periods. I shall tell you what are what is the role of a time period in case of any kind of market structure. And this is basically divided into two parts, the short run and the long run, about which we have already received the information under cost function and production functions. After that, I shall teach you how the demand curve, AR curve, and MR curve are equal in case of a perfect competition. And then we shall make the analysis of how the equilibrium level of the firm and the industry can be achieved in case of a perfect competition. And all these things done, finally, we shall talk about the different other related different things regarding the equilibrium position. Like in the short run, there are different kind of profits can be earned, like supernormal profit or normal profit or minimum losses. And in case of long run, whatever the profits are there, all shall be discussed in this video lecture. So all in all, this lecture is going to be extremely helpful and extremely knowledgeable for you. Just enjoy this lecture. Just have a look on this. All right, so now I believe that you would be watching the video lecture regarding the perfect competition, as I have already given you the structure and basics of how we shall continue this lecture. And believe me, this is going to be very important because this is the basic and the very first market structure which we have to understand. I have taught you a lot of things regarding business or managerial economics, okay? So if you have gone through from all those concepts only, then this is relevant to see this video lecture, because I'm going to talk so many terms like TR or TC or MR or MC. Number of terms are going to be used in this video lecture, which you shall be able to understand only if you have gone through the previous video lectures. And I must tell you that this is going to be very important and a basic lecture. And most importantly, I'm not going to explain all these things right now in this video lecture, because very extremely detailed lectures have already been delivered to you. So like if we are talking about a demand, or we are talking about elasticity, then we are talking about the revenue, then production curve, indifference curve analysis, consumer equilibrium, then cost curves. All these things are very necessary to understand any kind of market structure. And just believe me, It's just the start. There are upcoming market structure video lectures as well. So if you understand this lecture, then going further is going to be very easy for you. So now I think I have already given the structure one by one. We shall be talking about the different things regarding perfect competition. Now I show you what is this. So this just simply means where there are large number of buyers and sellers. Okay, large number of buyer and seller. You can see the market around you. There are so many buyers and sellers. Okay, market around you. This is the complete market. Okay, whatever the market it is nearby to you. So this is the complete market. If there are so many buyers and so many sellers, you can simply take the examples of any soap. Okay, you can take the example of soap or any house needed product. You can say that. Okay, there are so many sellers, so many buyers. The homogeneous product, like the product is same, every seller is selling the same product, and everyone is offering a uniform price. Uniform means to say that the same price is being offered by different sellers. So this is shop A, this is shop B. If A is offering a product at a 10 rupee, B shall also sell that product at a 10 rupee. Okay, he cannot charge more than that, because otherwise consumer shall not buy from B. This is very easy. Then price is determined by market forces of supply and demand. Wherever these two cuts, that price is known as the market price. Okay, so I shall explain this complete graph once its time comes. Okay, so by now you just have to keep in mind that the price is determined by the market forces. And finally, the firm is the price taker only, not the price maker. Price taker means simply that firm cannot decide the price its own. The price is decided by the industry only. Okay, prices wherever the goods are being manufactured, they just make the analysis of demand and supply. Wherever these two situation cuts to each other, two lines cuts to each other, that price is ultimately decided, and each and every firm has to offer to its customer only that price. And this price is known as equilibrium price, or the price which is determined by market forces. So this was all somewhat a description about that. The further description can be known only if we understand its complete features. So if we are talking about the features of perfect competition, there are large number of firms who are offering some kind of a products, and these products are homogeneous. Then there are so many buyers, there are so many sellers. Then the homogeneous product is being sold. Then there is no discrimination between anyone. Okay, if you are a consumer, you can go to any shop, and if this shopkeeper, he can sell to any consumer. Then there is no selling or transportation cost. You simply can go to the market and you can just ask for a specific product, and you are willing to pay the prices for that as well. That perfect information about prevailing price, you already know that the price of this specific product is 15 rupee or 20 rupee or 25 or anything. You have all the knowledge regarding the prevailing price of the product. Then free entry and exit of the firms, that simply means you can also open the same kind of shop, you can also offer the same kind of products to your consumers. So this is all that is all about the structure of a perfect competition, and that is the first market structure which we have to understand. So I hope you would have got idea. Again, just keep in your mind that there is the complete market nearby to you. There are so many buyers, there are so many sellers. The homogeneous product is there, no discrimination is there, no selling cost. Perfect information is available, free entry and exit of firm. If this is the case, then that is the case of a perfect competition in the market. Perfect competition. So you have to follow that competition. Okay, so I hope you would have got the idea regarding that. So now the most important thing, as I told you, that I shall show you the graph afterwards. So this is known as equilibrium price, and this is the price which is known as market price, and this is determined by the market forces named demand and supply, and in that case the firm is price taker only. Okay, so we know the equilibrium refers to the state of balance. Okay, so how this balance is maintained, I show you by the table and by the graphical presentation as well. So this is the table. Okay, so if the prices are price of, so in the first column it's written price of a chocolate, in the second column it's written demand of the chocolate in units, then in the third supply of the chocolate in units, after that there is shortage or surplus, and finally remarks. So if the price of chocolate is fixed to 2 rupee, then the market demand is for 100 units and supply is only for 20. That means there is the um, excess demand of 80 units. Okay, 80 units. Then if the prices is raised to 4 rupee, then market demand comes down to 80 and supply again, supply increases. And if supply increases, that means now there is the shortage of shortage of or the excess market demand for 40 units. Okay, so if the prices are further raised, that ultimately means that the demand is for 60 unit and supply is also for 60 unit, and there is none kind of excess demand or excess supply, and this level is known as equilibrium level. And this price, the price at which demand and supply are equal, that is known as equilibrium level price. Then further can be the case if these are the prices raised further, the demand can be lower, supply shall be again higher. In case this is the price is raised to 10, then the demand will be much lower and the supply shall be higher. So the situation of equilibrium is, by this table we can easily make conclusion that this is the situation where demand and supply are all equal, and that is the equilibrium price, and there is none kind of shortage or surplus in case of units of the commodity. So if we take its graphical presentation, you can easily see here in the OX axis there are given a quantity demanded and supplied of chocolate, and in the OY axis there is given the price. You can easily see, and this graphical presentation has completely been made on the basis of this table. And if this table you make, this is the price, you can write this price on the OY axis, and units you can write on the OX axis. And if you make its graph, then ultimately you shall receive this kind of figure. So here is excess demand when the prices are lower, there is excess supply when the prices are higher, but when the price is 6, then there is the equilibrium level, because at here point E, demands and supply curve both cuts each other, and when these cuts each other, this is equilibrium price and this is equilibrium quantity. So I hope you would have got the idea regarding three terms. The first is market equilibrium. This is just the equilibrium at which the supply becomes equal to demand. The second one is equilibrium price. Again, here the supply is equal to demand. And finally, equilibrium quantity. That is the quantity where again the supply is equal to demand. So this is equilibrium quantity, this is equilibrium price, and this is the equilibrium market situation. So it is all about that. Okay, so now how you have to understand all the concept regarding further concept regarding the perfect computation, you just have to understand the structure of a time period. Okay, because in case of a time period only the further study of market structure can be done. Okay, so now I must tell you, I have already given you a lot of information regarding time period in the different chapters regarding production. For example, the chapter of production curves and cost function as well. Do you remember that I have given you information regarding short run and long run as well? So these are both kind of a market, the time structures on the basis of which the supply or demand can be adjusted. So just moving further, this is the role of a time element in determining the price. Price we already know. Okay, price we already know. Now in case of a perfect competition, the prices are all the situation at which the demand curve or the demand curve or the supply curve cuts each other, and this is the equilibrium price level. And I must tell you, price is always equal to AR if you have already understood the concept regarding revenue. Okay, and in case of perfect competition, AR is always equal to MR as well. This is marginal revenue. So you can easily say that this line where the demand and supply are cutting each other, this refers to AR is equal to MR, and that is equal to price as well. So now we have to understand what is the role of time element in determination of a price. So Marshall, he has been a great economist. He has given the three kind of role of time periods. The first is the very short period, in which you cannot adjust your supply. You have to offer whatever you have. Okay, suppose a consumer comes at 9 a.m. and he is telling you that I needed 10 units of a specific product exactly at 9 past 10 a.m. Okay, that means you have only 10 minutes. This is known as a very short time period. In this period you cannot adjust your supply. You have to, suppose you have only 8 units in your stock, you can offer him only 8 units. Okay, so this is known as a very short period, and in that kind of a period, whatever the market price is there, you have to follow that. So you can see this situation. So in this case, supply is always fixed. So this is supply, this one is supply curve, and this is just straight and parallel to OY axis. The only reason being you cannot change your supply. You have to offer whatever you have in your stock. So supply curve is always straight and parallel to OY axis, and there can be different demand curves as per the different demands of the units, and wherever the demand cuts the supply, that shall be your equilibrium price, and this is known as market price. And this is the situation of a very short period. So I hope you would have got the idea regarding very short period. So it says that market price prevail under very short period. Market period is a very short period in which supply being fixed, price is determined by demand only. So this was the first time level of our study. The second one is a short period. Short period means which is longer than very short period but shorter than long period. That means if the consumer is telling you that I need 10 units of a specific product by tomorrow, that means you have the time for 1 day. If you have a time for 1 day, then you can adjust your supply, like you can go to your godown or you can receive the further supply from your suppliers as well. So in this way you can adjust your supply to some extent only, and the only price that prevails in the market in case of a short period, this is known as a subnormal price. I'm going to tell you its complete description. So the short period market is the functional time period price during which size of the firm and plant cannot be altered. Thus, a set of fixed factor remain unchanged. Okay, so what you can do, the only thing is more output can be produced only by increasing inputs of variable. So variable items, whatever the variable items you are having, if you change change their structure, then you can adjust your supply. So how the things are done, you can see here, this is the supply curve and this is somewhat tilted. Okay, so this is the supply curve. Okay, and it's showing that you have some time to adjust your variable inputs, and if you adjust your variable inputs, on the basis of that you can adjust your supply of units to be offered to the consumer. And if this is the case, this is known as a subnormal price prevailing in the market. So here, wherever is demand cutting to the supply, that level is known as equilibrium price level, and this is the situation which prevails in the market. This is short period or subnormal price situation. And the final price is known as long period, and in the long period only one kind of a price prevails in the market. This is the normal price. And a long period, you already know, in which all the variables are uh, all the inputs or the factors of a production of are variable. That means you can adjust your plant, you can adjust the size of your farm, you can change anything. Okay, so this is known as of variable natures. So this is known as normal prices, that price which is likely to prevail in the long run. And this happens only for the reason that all the factors of a production or the input are of a variable nature. You can vary them to adjust your supply, and if this is the case, then you can do anything else. Okay, so long period, the normal price prevails in the market, and only these are the curve of that. Okay, this is demand, this is supply. Wherever they both cuts each other, you have to take this as an your equilibrium price, and this can be anything. Okay, there can be so many demand curves, there can be so many supply curves in the market. You can adjust your input or variables inputs on the basis of your requirement only. So this is how the things are done in case of the perfect computation and the different structure of a time period. So till now, if we are making the conclusion, we have studied a lot. Like I have taught you what is the meaning of a perfect computation. After that, we have gone through from the features of perfect competition. Most importantly, I have told you regarding equilibrium price prevailing in the market, which is on the basis of the market forces. These are known as demand and supply. And after that, I have taught you the role of a time period for deciding the price. And this is of three kinds. Time period is of three kinds. First is very short, then a long period. In very short, only market price prevails, and in the short period, subnormal price prevails, and in the longer period, normal price prevail in the market. So this is all about that. Further, we are moving. If we are concluding all the things, then we can simply say that there are only two forces which are behind the determination of a price. This is demand and supply. Only these are important for price determination. And further, on the time basis, these can be adjusted. So this is all about that. I hope you would have got the complete idea. Now the next thing which we have to understand is how the firm and industry are in equilibrium position in case of a perfect competition, how they both are in equilibrium position. Okay, so now we have to talk about their profits, because firms are equilibrium at the position wherever they are getting the maximum returns. So just going to teach you the equilibrium of the firm and industry. So there are some conditions for the firms or industry being at equilibrium. The first condition is profit should be maximum. This is very obvious, because I have already taught you that if the firms are earning maximum and maximum, only then they are at equilibrium position, because this is the dream of each and every firm or industry, that they should get maximum returns. And the second condition is marginal cost should be equal to marginal revenue. Okay, so these two terms I have already taught you that you must have the knowledge of marginal revenue and marginal cost. I have given the detailed lecture regarding the revenue concept and the cost functions as well, and you have to go through from these two lectures. And finally, marginal cost should cut marginal revenue curve from below. I shall show you their graphical presentation as well, at which your concept shall further be cleared. You just have to remember these three concepts. The first is profit should be maximum, marginal cost should be equal to MR should be equal to MC, and finally MC should cut the marginal revenue curve from below here in this case. So this is how the firm or industry can be in equilibrium, and we see further what happens. Okay, so there are two approaches for the equilibrium. Okay, so two famous approaches are there for a firm or the industry being at equilibrium position. The first approach is total revenue and a total cost approach, and the second one is marginal revenue and marginal cost approach, which you have to understand. First of all, I shall teach you this concept, and secondly, I shall teach you this. We shall give you the graphical presentation of both the approaches, and we shall tell you how these are done. So the first is total revenue and total cost approach. So this is the detailed graphical representation of the total profit and total cost approach, in which I am going to teach you how the firm or industry can be at equilibrium level. So just see this complete picture carefully. I'm going to teach you each and every necessary concept. Okay. So first of all, we have already written each and everything. Okay. So here has been given you two. So here have been given to you two graphs. So two graphs have been given to you. Okay. So I'm just writing here the replica of these only. So it should be somewhat good looking. Okay, so this is the first and this is the second one. Okay, we have written it. So on the OX axis, this is OX axis for both of the series, and this is OX axis. So what you have to do, you have to write the units of output here. And I have made that kind of a graphical representation for so many times, and I believe that you have the basic knowledge of regarding these. Okay, so in the OX axis there are output for both the cases, and in OY axis, in the below graph there are profits, and in the above graph there is total revenue and a total cost. Okay, so total revenue you have already understood from me if you have taken the lecture of revenue concept. So it goes like that. It's straightforward, rising from left to right. Okay, so this is known as a total revenue curve. This is TR curve. Okay, but the total curve starts from somewhat above. The reason being, this is the total of fixed cost plus variable cost. This is why it starts somewhat above. So when the total revenue is above than the cost, then this is known as the position of loss. This is why this figure is starting from below 0 point. So this is known as the situation of loss. Okay, this is known as situation of loss because your costs are greater than your revenue. So this is the case, and when they both touches each other, that is the situation of a break even point. So break even point is a situation when your total revenue becomes equal to total cost, and you are neither earning anything nor losing anything. So in this situation, this is the situation where firm break evens, and it ultimately means that your revenue is equal to your cost. And when your total revenue is greater than your cost, like this, so your cost curve is below your total revenue, this is the situation when you are earning profits. So this is the situation when you are earning profit, and in this case you can just write the curve of the profit in this way as I'm showing you. Okay, so larger the difference between the total revenue or total cost, when total cost is lesser than total revenue, then this is known as the larger situation of your profit. Okay, so this in this figure here you are earning maximum where the difference between the total revenue and total cost is maximum. And finally, again, at some level, when you are not enjoying the economies of scale, your total cost becomes greater than total revenue, again you are losing. And at the time, again, when they are both equal, this is again the time of a break-even point or break-even analysis. So in this way, you can just show how the firms can be at equilibrium situation. They are at equilibrium situation only at this point. This is QM. Okay. Why? Because in this, the difference between total revenue and total cost is maximum, and total revenue is greater than total cost, because this is very obvious. If your sales are greater than your cost, obviously you shall be earning. So in this way you can show that when there is the difference, this part is a difference. Okay, this part is difference between total revenue and total cost. Maximum the difference, maximum the earnings shall be. So maximum the profit shall be. This is known as profit curve. This is known as a PC. Okay, so higher the difference between these two, higher the profit for the firm, and this is known as the equilibrium situation of the firms, because they are earning much when the difference between TR and TC is greater. So this was the first concept regarding how you can produce that the firms or industry can be at equilibrium position. The second one is going to be regarding marginal revenue and marginal cost approach. I have already given you the conditions regarding how the firms or industry can be at equilibrium level. So the first condition was the profit should be maximum, which I have already taught you in the previous figure, like where TR was greater than TC. Now we are going to study regarding marginal cost should be equal to marginal revenue, and marginal cost should cut the marginal revenue from below. So this is the second concept, which is known as marginal revenue and marginal cost approach. Okay, so how the things are done, I have already shown you here. So in the case of a perfect competition, I have already given you information that the prices are always equal to AR and AR is always equal to MR, and that happens in the case of a perfect competition only. So as you have received the information regarding these, what you have to do, you just have to write the units of output in the OX axis and revenue and cost in the OY axis, and you have to write the demand line or AR line or price line or MR line. You have to show that AR is equal to MR. Then you have to written the line of MC. So this is MC. Okay, this is MC. At this position you are occurring losses because MC is greater than MR. When this is below, okay, so this is below, at that situation you are earning profits, because now you can see MC is cutting MR from below. So MC is here, so here you are incurring profits, and this is cutting the MR from below. So at this situation you are earning the profits. So this is how you can show that the firms or the industry can be at equilibrium level. So now I hope you would be enjoying this till now. That was not difficult to understand or comprehend. What we have done after the analysis of different kind of time periods is only that what are the different approaches for the industry or firm being at equilibrium position. So there were only two approaches. The first was a total revenue or total cost approach, and the second was marginal revenue or marginal cost approach. So these things you have to understand and keep in your mind. Only then you can rise further. The next one is the now we shall tell you. I have already given you information regarding the different time periods. We have divided it into three parts: the very short period, then the short period, then the long period. I've already given you information regarding that, and I have already given you information regarding how the firms or industry can be at equilibrium level. Now we shall study on the basis of different time periods, like short term period or long term period, how the firms are at equilibrium level in short period and how the firms are at equilibrium level in long period. This is the concept which we are going to start right now. So in case of short term equilibrium position of a perfectly competitive market, there can be three cases. In short run, either the firms can be earning the supernormal profit. Secondly, maybe these are earning only normal profits, or maybe they are incurring minimum losses only. And all these three things can be understood on the basis of the graphs which we have already understood previously. So what I have told you that, so just again recall everything. I have taught you regarding different time periods. The first time period was short run. Short run is the time period in which there are two kind of inputs, like fixed and variable. You can vary only the you can change your input on only on the basis of variable parts. And secondly, I have given you information regarding long run. Long run is the situation in which all the factors of inputs are variable nature. So you can adjust your supply on the basis of all the variables. Okay. So now I'm going to teach you how the in case of a perfect competition, the firms or industry is in equilibrium in case of a short run. And after that, I shall tell you how in case of a perfect computation, the firm or industry is in equilibrium position in case of long run. So if we are talking about short run equilibrium position, then there are three cases: supernormal, normal, or minimum losses. One by one, I am going to explain you all these things. So see the first figure. Okay, see the first figure. You can easily say that when your average study on the from the basis of average revenue. First of all, when your average revenue or marginal revenue or prices which are equal, if they are basically, if AR is greater than average cost, then this is known as the situation of supernormal profit. Just see this. Okay, here the P line stands for the demand line, which is also AR line, which is also MR line. Okay, so now you can see here. So this is the case, and see just below. Okay, so this one is SAC. This is the short run average cost curve. Okay, and this is SMC. This is short run marginal cost curve. Okay, so now you can see that both are cutting here in at this figure. And SAC, this is average cost curve, is below the AR curve, which is this curve. Okay, so now you can see that the AR is greater than AC, and this they are having this difference. This area is the difference between these two, and this area is known as the supernormal profit. So you can say that in case the firms are having average revenue greater than average cost, then this portion shall be known as supernormal profit. So this is the first case which can be, which the firms can have. The second one is the case of a normal profits. And what is this? This is the situation where average revenue is equal to average cost. Okay, is equal to average. Now you can see the P line is the line of average revenue and marginal revenue, where these two are equal. And SAC is short run average cost, and this is here. This is here. And they are both joining here at this figure. And at this figure, you can say that average revenue is equal to average cost. And if this is the case, then the firm shall be earning only normal profits. So what is the difference? In case of a supernormal profit, average revenue curve is always greater than average cost curve. But in case of normal profits, average revenue curve are always equal to average cost curve. And now you can easily conclude the last one. This is the minimum loss situation, at which the average revenue curves are greater than average cost curve. And this is very obvious to understand. When your costs are greater than your revenue, then you shall earn losses. So P is the line of AR and MR or price line, and AC has been given above the average revenue curve. So this is the difference between AC and AR, and this is known as the situation of minimum loss. I'm again writing here. So here AR is greater than AC, here AR is equal to AC, and finally here AR is lesser than AC. So all these three situations arises in case of short period in which the firm can either earn supernormal profit or normal profit or minimum losses. So these are the situation of short run equilibrium in case of a perfect computation. So now we are just moving further, and I am going to tell you what is there in case of long run equilibrium position. In case of long run equilibrium, all the factors of a production are of a variable nature. You can change anything, and only one price prevail in the market. This is normal profit. This is market price, and you can earn only normal profit. And regarding normal profit, I think I have already given you the complete information previously. So this was the situation of a normal profit. And in this case, the average cost curve is always equal to average revenue curve. So in this case, SMC short run marginal cost is equal to long run marginal cost, and MR price, marginal revenue, average revenue, price, short run average cost, long run average cost, all are equal, and all are just parallel to OX axis. And long run marginal cost curve must cut MR curve from below, and this is also, this is very easy. I don't think that this is going to be difficult for you, as I have already taught you previously the conditions for the market equilibrium. You can see here in this picture, P stands for AR and MR. So this curve is SMC curve, which is cutting MR from below, and at this point where all are equal, this is known as the equilibrium price level, and here the firm can earn only normal profit. So you can easily conclude that in case of long run, under the perfect competition, the firms can earn only normal profits, and this is the case. But in case of the short run position, firms can either earn super profit, normal profit, or minimum losses. So this is the situation of difference between the short run and long run equilibrium position of market industry or the firm in case of a perfect competition. So I think that was much more than enough to study in case of the perfect competition. This was the first ever market structure which we have to study, and in the upcoming days we have to understand regarding imperfect competition, which contains in it the monopoly and monopolistic competition. So if we are again making the conclusion, we have studied regarding meaning of perfect competition, then features of perfect competition. After that, I taught you regarding equilibrium price. Then I taught you regarding rule of a time element, which was very short period, then short period, then long period. After that, we have studied regarding equilibrium situation of a firm and industry in case of a perfect competition. There were some conditions and there were some approaches like total revenue or total approach, cost approach, or marginal revenue and marginal cost approach. Finally, we have studied regarding the graphical structure, and we have studied regarding short run and long run equilibrium. I have taught you, however, how the firms can earn in different ways. So this was all about that. I hope you would have enjoyed this video lecture a lot. Regarding the next lecture, we shall be intimating you as soon as possible via WhatsApp. Thank you so much. This is Gurpal Singh from Gurpal Education.